We are just 2 days away from the New York Jets' Week 5 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and first-year head coach Aaron Glenn is looking to avoid becoming the first head coach in Jets history to start his first year off with the team with an 0-5 record, but he's going to face an uphill battle. Home underdogs to the Dallas Cowboys. The injury reports are in, and right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, we'll break down how Aaron Glenn can potentially pull off an upset victory against Dallas at home. All that and much more coming up here on a Friday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, joined by the great Dom C, baby. Let's go.
This is NY Flight Jets Talk with Connor Long. NY Flight Jets Talk. We're talking Jets. NY Flight Jets Talk with special guests. NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long. Jets. This is NY Flight Jets Talk with Connor Long. NY.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone. Welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk as we come to you guys live right here on this Friday evening, October 3rd, 2025. Make sure you all smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way to the building. That is the free way to help support us and grow our channel right here as we bring you guys daily Jets content, no matter how poor the team is, no matter hopefully how great the team is. We're still bringing you daily Jets coverage. Live shows every single evening right here on the show. Be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Plus, don't forget about the paid way to help us grow. We just kicked off our new membership raffle. You see the details on the scrolling ticker down below. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership will give you a raffle entry, as you can see on that ticker down below. We appreciate your support, as always, right here on the show, through all your questions, your comments, your thoughts in the chat for us to get to. If you guys want to call into the show, you could do so with the link pinned in the video description down below. And joining me right now here on the show, New York Jets draft, I think you could say, aficionado at this rate. He's joined us officially over at JetsXFactor.com. Most importantly, diehard Jets fan, analyst over at Talking Jets, the great Dom C, joining us right here on this Friday evening. Dom, we were talking before the show, and I don't think we've chopped it up since pre-draft, so it's great to have you back on the program, and I wish we were talking about something more positive.
Yeah, other than the 0-4 Jets. Yeah, Connor, always a pleasure and an honor to be on here, to be anywhere really talking about the thing I'm most passionate about, whether it brings me pain or joy. It's ingrained in us, brother, so you're young, and you'll learn the how to become numb to all this soon enough, Connor, my boy.
Well, Dom, I haven't seen a playoff game in my lifetime. Or so I haven't been a fan of this team when they've won more than 7 games in a single season. Could you believe that? 7 games? They've won more than 7 games since 2015. That's what this organization does to us.
I hear you, man. And listen, it was like that kind of sort of. We had some highs. I mean, not that I'm much older than you, but I'm older enough to remember, like, that those being young and remembering like the times in the 80s when we were pretty good, and then we hit rock bottom, and then we became pretty good again to hit rock bottom, and then we slowly climbed the ladder until like that 2010 team. And then it's been downhill since, brother.
I mean, the Jake Asman, Matt O'Leary generation, Dom, they're lucky because when they were my age, they were seeing the Jets in AFC championship games. They were seeing Harm Edwards, they were seeing Rex Ryan, they saw Pennington, saw the end of Testaverde, and now it's like, what is that? I mean, a revolving door of quarterbacks now at this point. I know you've already started your work on the 2026 quarterback class, as have I. We're going to get to that a little later on in the show, but I want to talk about this week's upcoming matchup, just 2 days away, against the Dallas Cowboys, a Cowboys team that, you look at the record 1-2-1. I think they're more high-powered than their record shows, especially on the offensive side of the ball, hanging 40 points on the Green Bay Packers defense last Sunday night in a tie. And now you look, and the Jets are home underdogs, looking to avoid an 0-5 start. So What do you think is the main thing, that New York is going to have to do really to pull off this upset victory at home? You talk about the missed tackles. I mean, this team has struggled in every area possible this season. But when you look at the team on the opposing sideline of the Dallas Cowboys, what do the New York Jets have to do to beat the Dallas Cowboys without CeeDee Lamb, without Tyler Guyton, without Tyler Smith? A lot
With
of
that Tyler Booker.
Tyler Booker.
No, and Tyler Smith. And
I think Tyler Booker was questionable. Have they since ruled him out, Dom?
I don't know. I think 4 of the 5 starters right now were listed as out, but without Turpin either, who's kind of took the role and filling in for CeeDee Lamb in the slot, and definitely a vital piece of their special teams return game. But listen, I think it's pretty simple, Connor, and I've said this since game 1. And I said it during game 2, before game 2, and before game 2 was maybe a moot point because we just got mollywopped by Buffalo. So take that one out of the equation.
Yep.
I think the one thing that the Jets need to do, which we haven't done, and I think it's very important, and I think you'll see trends, is that the team that wins the turnover battle will win the game. If we won the turnover battle against Pittsburgh and against Miami, if we even tie it against Miami and not turn it over, you know what I mean? We win those 2 games. And we're sitting here talking a whole different ball game at 2-2 than we are at 0-4, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think that you have to figure out a way not to turn the ball over, or more importantly, figure out a way to turn over the Dallas offense and have our defense make a big play. I thought it was going to happen last week. I think it was Harrison Phillips, reach his hand in there, punch a ball out, and the ball just bounced directly to Miami. One of the offensive linemen jumped on it. And, I don't know if you remember, if you noticed, whether in the real-time game on Monday or in your rewatch of the All-22, there was 2 consecutive plays in the first quarter where a ball hit Jamie Sherwood dead square in the face. Dead square in the face mask, So tally those 2 up. If he just gets his hands up there, as missed opportunities. There's 3 missed opportunities. We had 3 turnovers. If we can just negate those 3 turnovers with those 3 opportunities, it's a whole different ball game. So the one thing we have to do, forget about the missed tackle, forget about the defense in itself has been, gross. We have to figure out a way to neutralize or maybe be advantageous in the turnover battle. Our defense has to turn the ball over, and we have to figure out how to stop turning it over, especially at the most inopportune times, man.
Yep.
You look at the Miami game, Connor, we drive down 80 plus yards, all the way, just run it down their throat, 8 yards of carry averaging. And the last play before we score, the ball comes loose. All right. We still managed to keep it a touchdown game going into the half. And what do? We're getting the ball in the second half. What do? We fumble on the kickoff. It's like
can't make it up.
Same thing with Pittsburgh, right? We got the lead. We're fine. We let up a score, and then boom. What do? We get the kickoff and we fumble it and give them an opportunity to have a 10-point swing real quick like that. It is unbelievable. The Jets have to figure that out. Without 2 for sure, possibly 4 starting linemen here, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because
Booker and Guyton have both been ruled out, as you see there on the injury report. And like I mentioned, Tyler Smith questionable with a injury. And look, I'd be excited, Dom, to sit here and say, there's a perfect opportunity for the pass rush. But the Jets had this same situation in 2 weeks ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they had 1 sack against Baker Mayfield on a handful of pressures. Last week, they didn't even have a quarterback hit on Tua Tagovailoa. So I'd be excited, sitting here to say the perfect opportunity for the Jets pass rush, but they haven't been able to deliver even when opposing teams are without 3 of their starting offensive linemen. Tampa Bay was out without Tristan Wirfs as well, the cornerstone, that left tackle who locks down the left side of the line. And, when you talk about the 0-4 start to the year and just the costly turnovers, You like the player, you don't. I think 3 starts into the 2025 season, Justin Fields has played well enough where the Jets could be 2-1 right now, and there should be no reason that the Jets are 2-1. You have the Braylon Allen fumble, you have Isaiah Williams fumbling the kick return, giving Miami an extra possession at the top of the second half, calling a fair catch within the 2-yard line, the Xavier Gipson fumble in week 1. Like Justin Fields, dislike him. Throughout 3 starts, there are no reason, just based on his performance, assuming this team was playing with a league average defense 4 games in, the Jets shouldn't be, 2-2.
Well, I'll give you listen. I'll give you 2 of the starts. I'll give you Pittsburgh and I'll give you Miami. I don't think Justin Fields was worth his weight in salt versus Buffalo, but
Yes.
you can argue that nobody on that
one.
field for the Jets was that day. However, you're right. Like Justin Fields hasn't. Listen. There's a plan. There was clearly a plan in deciding on Justin Fields to be the guy, the bridge to the next quarterback, if that's what the case was, or if they just really liked him in the idea of Justin Fields, short term, long term, whatever the case is. Their ideas are pretty, for me, are pretty concrete. Like I can see them. I think they're tangible. He wants somebody that can help boost the run game. And when I say him, I'm talking about this front office, AG and Tanner Engstrom combined. They want somebody that can help boost the run game in this offense, and there's no denying that Fields does that. They want somebody who's going to protect the ball, not not be a turnover machine. Now, Fields has been that game manager to an extent where he's not throwing interceptions. 3 fumbles so far, 2 fumbles. Two lost fumbles at least for sure. That's got to be cleaned up, but that's part of that you got to chalk that up as the cost of doing business sometime with a guy who's going to try his damnedest to get outside the pocket and elude the pass rush.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna run yourself into a strip sack, so on and so forth. So for the most part, Fields has done his part. I agree with you. I'm not going to say that Fields is the reason that we are 0-4 for sure. I think there can be a handful of other reasons that would trump Fields. I think he's leaving a lot of meat on the bone. I don't think he's he's not prime Andrew Luck here. But he's doing his part. Most of the issues, like I said, have come with us kicking ourselves in the nuts. Whether it's the bad timely penalties, the turnovers, or just a defense that just time in and time out has gotten decimated by big play and by stupidity.
Yeah, certainly. And, when you talk about the overall offensive performance thus far, the run game and the whole offense has just been iffy and inconsistent. You could point to performances like week 4, like week 1, but then you also can't deny the fact that this team was just shut down. Justin Fields, throwing for 27 passing yards before he had to come out of the game in week 2. And then week 3, the crucial pick 6 before the break that Tyrod Taylor threw. And when you talk about the run game, someone who's played a pivotal role in their success so far has been Braylon Allen, and he suffers a knee injury. We heard the announcement today from Aaron Glenn. He's expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks. So that sounds like the season, because, you're going to probably get to week 15 and realize that the season's over for the Jets. And put Braylon away for the rest of the year to avoid any further injury. But I think I look at an injury like that, Dom, and first thing I say is that's so avoidable. There's no reason he should be back there on kickoffs. Yes, I understand without Kanena Wangu, they're barren. They've obviously moved on from Xavier Gipson, but give me Arian Smith back there. Give me his speed. You were so confident in taking him in the 4th round. You haven't been able to get him involved offensively. Put him back there. Put someone next to Isaiah Davis who doesn't play an integral role in your offense. And I just look at an injury like that, and before the fumble, obviously, he was dealing on the ground for the Jets. So, just brutal to see that in a season where we're not talking about, playoffs, obviously, anymore with an 0-4 start. He was one of the few players I was looking forward to watching this year in a second season where he could have really done some damage.
Yeah, well, the good thing is if you want to take any positives from a guy, pretty much who's going to be out for the season, it doesn't sound like it's major ligament damage, right? So the extent of the injury isn't like, career or life altering. Two, he's still 21 years old, right? Today, he is still 21 years old, right? He won't be 22 for a couple of months, so he's still young. And listen, I'm gonna push back a little on you, Connor. I hear what you're saying in terms of it was avoidable because he shouldn't have been back there. But if you look around the NFL, if you look at this, like what people are doing with these new kick return methodologies, they want running backs down there. They want running backs that can be a little bit more decisive and hit a hole. It's because it's not about just getting a fast guy who can, hit a crease and go. It's more about maneuvering and having the vision to find where the creases are, or so on and so forth. The defense is on you on the offense, like the kick team is on the kick return team so quick that you need somebody back there who can kind of play running back. It's not like get the ball, get a 20-yard head start like it used to be, and no one's going to catch him. The holes aren't that big, so you need somebody who's a little bit more controlled and can handle carrying the football. I think more teams are using running backs back there than just having, the dedicated speed guys like they might have on a punt return or so on and so forth. For instance, look at Buffalo. Buffalo uses Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. They've actually sat, Brandon Codrington the past couple of days. They made him inactive, and they use their 2 and 3 running backs back there as well. So a lot of teams are leaning towards doing that. Pittsburgh was using they were using Caleb Johnson and they were using Kenneth Gainwell back there. So teams are just leaning towards running back. It's unfortunate that he got hit low, shame on Ashton Davis, if you want to say that. But listen, that's the cost of doing business, I guess, is as an NFL player, sometimes you're going to get hit and sometimes you're going to get hurt. The good thing is, take your time. He has the means to take his time, get completely healthy. We don't know if Brees is going to be back, and Braylon Allen can come back next year, good as new, ready to go.
Look, I get your point there, absolutely. And I'm sure, if he didn't suffer an injury, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it's just the fact that, he's not your standard prototypical kick returner, and he hadn't returned kicks since high school entering week 3. So, the thing that fans are going to want to point to initially at first is, why is he even back there? It would, I think, made more sense, or at least, help the fan cope a little more if he suffered that injury on, a rushing play inside the red zone on, 4th and 1 or a goal to go situation. So, I just think that's kind of the frustrating part, where he hadn't really had kick returning experience. And then we see him back there at 2 games into that new role. He gets hurt. That said, placing him on IR, a new roster spot is open for the Jets. They allocated that roster spot towards Khalil Herbert, someone who was a member of my fantasy team back in 2022 when he did some damage. So I saw the tweet from Zach Rosenblatt that the Jets had signed Herbert, and my reaction instantly was like if the Jets had traded for Lamar Jackson. I was excited for some reason because I was like, Khalil Herbert, and then I went back. I realized he hadn't done anything since 2022, 2023. But a guy with kick return experience, a guy with some offensive explosiveness. If you're going to sign any running back, happy it's Herbert compared to, a UDFA who hasn't played at all this year.
Yeah, listen, it's an interesting one. And like you kind of intimated, I'm not upset at it. There could have been a lot worse decisions there. Because he does. I mean, again, I don't know. He hasn't played. I don't know how major of a role that he's played since his Chicago Bears days. But, I remember some pep in his step. I remember a little bit of a wiggle in his game and a little bit of speed. It'll be nice to have that. And it's completely counteracts what Braylon Allen brought to the table, which is a good thing. Because I think we'll get to see a little bit more Isaiah Davis playing that, that more of that power role, that inside the tackle, inside guy, which I think he's, he it's a role that fits him very well. I'm not upset with Isaiah Davis getting more reps, more offensive reps. I will, stand on 10 toes saying that he is hands down the best running back that we have in pass pro. He has been the best running back that we have in pass pro. I think all 3 of them, when Braylon wasn't injured before Braylon's injury, I think all 3 of them were actually above average in pass pro. But Isaiah Davis is a dog. And I think it's going to just open up a little bit more opportunities, yeah, maybe we'll start seeing some more screen game. Maybe you'll start be able to do some more stuff in the pony situation with both the running backs in the backfield, so on and so forth. We hoped that we would see a lot more of that with Braylon and Brees, and we didn't. So maybe it's Isaiah Davis. Maybe his skill set will be a little bit different. And I think Herbert would probably just be a real change of pace guy, a real, like play 1 out of every 4 series, a handful of plays, probably handle the kick return, so on and so forth like that, just be that emergency backup. So a guy with a little bit of juice, a guy with a little bit of, a second and third gear in Herbert, I'm not upset about it.
Smash the like button, folks. Be sure to hit subscribe. Dom C. Connor Long right here with you guys on a Friday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. 172 of you guys watching us live. Be sure to smash the like button, hit subscribe. We appreciate your support. As always, questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. We will get to those. Call into the show with the link pinned in the description down below. Also, a reminder, the show is available in audio form, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Search up NY Flight Jets Talk. You can find us there as well. Shout out to everyone supporting the show. Goes a long way. Don't forget about the paid way to support us. See it on the ticker down below, the membership raffle. Joe Klecko signed jersey. Wayne Corbett signed mini helmet. A Coles Corbett Moss signed photo. A Don Maynard signed photo. An Altoon signed photo. Among the prizes we're giving away in this month's membership raffle. You see it on the ticker down below. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership gives you an entry. Shout out to everyone supporting us right here on the show. Dom, let's take a look at the Jets side of things on the injury report. This week, you look up top, Michael Carter II, who's had a putrid start to the season, will be out with a concussion. Jermaine Johnson has not practiced in 3 weeks. Dom hasn't even been a limited participant in 3 weeks. Yet the Jets are still holding out hope that he could find the field, listing him as questionable. Same goes for Kene Nwangu. Didn't practice once this week, not the week prior. So 3 weeks, both these guys haven't practiced, yet they're questionable. Jarvis Brownlee is in line to make his first start as a New York Jet. I'll get your thoughts on the top guy up there, Michael Carter II. What do you think his future really looks like in New York? Because these past 2 seasons have been grueling for him, and his production overall as a player. And you look at a guy like the Jets acquired on Jarvis Brownlee, 3 years of team control counting this season, young and ascending, and the Jets have expressed interest in playing him in that nickel role. So thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I would be hard pressed not to argue that Michael Carter has been the worst defender on the Jets. I know everyone is going to automatically kind of default to Michael Clemens or Brandon Stevens, or maybe even some, sprinkles of Tony Adams or Andre Cisco. But I think for what we've gotten, lined up next to expectation of what we had or what we expected to have back, Michael Carter has been an absolute flop. So I don't know what his future holds. I do know that the kid that they got from Tennessee, by means of Louisville and Florida State, he had some time there with Jermaine Johnson, so there's some familiarity there. I know that kid's a ball player. He loves the game of football. He's a little bit different than Michael Carter. I mean, I thought Michael Carter as a rookie and even early into that second year, I thought what made him so special was not so much his man coverage ability in the slot, which is difficult in itself, but really the way he fit the run, the way he acted as that extra box player and filled holes and tackled in space and really it really fit the run. That's been completely gone over the past couple of years. We're going to get that back in Jarvis Brownlee and then some. Jarvis Brownlee and Brandon Stevens automatically put 2 very good tackling options or defensive backs on your back 7. You parlay that with Jamien Sherwood, who's a tackling machine, although he hasn't really done anything to elevate his play. I don't think he's been, by far the worst. I think he's kind of just floating in the middle. But the one thing that is consistent is, he's got his nose in there and he tackles, pretty well. So you're going to have those 3 guys that are really going to fit the run very well. And I think for what you're not doing, up front, and some of the lack of skill that you might have at the, with Jermaine out at the edge position and so on and so forth. I think having those guys in the perimeter and then Jamie Sherwood kind of just manning sideline to sideline, it can make the defense a lot more effective in fitting the run and playing the run and really, um, tackling like defense, especially playing the run is a lot more want to. You know what I mean? There's a lot of want. You need a lot of want to do it, right?
Great, exactly.
You need to, and I think Brownlee replacing Michael Carter brings a little bit of that instant nastiness, a little bit of that want to, a little bit of that grit. Like he prides himself in playing in really fitting the run very physically. So I look forward to seeing that. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with his foot injury that he sat out last week, but it looks like he's going to get to go today. I mean, I can't tell you, they might start Isaiah Oliver at the nickel to start and then, sub in Brownlee. I don't know how much of the defense he's got his, hand wrapped around, but I think the more that we see him over time, the better. I think he's a good ball player. I like him a lot more in the slot than outside. And I think that this coaching staff, especially AG, is going to like the same because he's been vocal in saying he likes his cornerbacks to play physical press man, and he likes them a little bit bigger, right? And Jarvis is only 5'10", 190 pounds. He plays physical press man, but he's not, he's not the biggest guy. So you put that nastiness inside, that will help you, kind of miss, if you're running nickel and you have Jarvis Brownlee on the field, you can kind of get away with only having, not having Quincy on the field and that lack of that middle territory in that defense by having Brownlee on there. I think he can really fit the run that well. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Jermaine Johnson with the ankle, Dom. This would be now 3 straight weeks. Math is off. 3.5 because he came out of the Buffalo game early. 3.5 weeks without Jermaine. He hasn't practiced since he suffered the injury. Dom, it isn't like this team is in any contention for anything but pride against Dallas on Sunday. I wouldn't rush it, especially knowing the history. I know it's the opposite ankle, but knowing the history with him and the torn Achilles, obviously suffered in week 2 of last year, and now this what is a severe ankle injury. I wouldn't push it with JJ on Sunday under any circumstance.
Listen. I think if you can, if he's good to go, you put him out there, even if it's limited or something like that. Because remember next week 6 is in London. You got the travel, then you got the adjustment. Like to travel with that ankle injury and kind of get it loose again is not going to be the easiest of things. So I think it's probably better to get him going a little bit, break him in, even if it's on a limited snap count this week, if he's capable of going.
Certainly.
But the options of him being, full go next week, probably of him being 100% next week, regardless if he plays this week, probably aren't going to happen because of the travel and that adjustment and all that stuff. So, I think if you can get him going, you can see where he's at. Kene Nguanu, if you got to miss him this week, so be it. That's a soft tissue. That's a hamstring. That's probably something that's a little bit easier to catch and re-injure. The ankle's just probably more of a stability thing. They didn't talk about the ankle injury much. I don't know if it's a low ankle, high ankle. They just called it, an ankle. So, if the high ankle sprain, maybe he doesn't play until Carolina. If it's a low ankle, maybe he really, really is questionable. But, my spidey sense tells me guys that don't practice on Friday tend not to play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Certainly. And I completely agree with what you're saying there, Dom. We'll have one more segment with you before we let you go. And obviously, I'll stay on here a little longer, get to you guys in the chat. So continue to load up your questions, your comments, your thoughts. See you guys backstage. Well, we will get to your calls as well, folks. And that is 2026 quarterbacks because, Dom, the Jets are 0-4. And yourself being a draft guru, you probably typically begin, scouting, post-summer scouting, around this time. But the fact that the Jets are most likely going to be in the market for a quarterback in the high end of this year's NFL draft, you've begun early, myself as well. Your first scouting report for us over at Jets X Factor is already out. That being on Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, mine coming out soon on USC's Jaden Mayava. Now, Mendoza, Dom, after I did my summer scouting, I had him as my quarterback 1, and a lot of people were surprised when I said that. They were like, no Nussmeier, no Aller, no
Yeah.
Klubnik, but Mendoza. I really, really liked what I saw from him at Cal, and just his poise, his pocket passing ability. You mentioned it, the shades of, a Carson Palmer type guy when he was coming out of the draft, as you mentioned in your article there. Who are the top guys you're watching right now early in this draft process?
And it's still early, like you specified, Connor. I think but I think that there's a group of 6 that can easily be first round picks. I think of the 6, I probably think you're talking about 3 that are really pushing for QB1 territory. Maybe 3 or 4, depending on what happens, are pushing for QB1 territory, and that's still yet to be determined. Obviously, I'm a fan of Mendoza,
Yep.
and I too went back, after the summer before this season started, and really dove into his Cal film. And that last season of Cal was really good.
Yes.
If you're just a stat monger, and you look at just raw numbers, you're gonna be like, all right, he
Mid.
threw 18 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Whoop-de-doo, 3,000 yards. Who cares? There was so much more than that. I mean, that Cal team was just void of talent. The offensive line was awful. And the one thing that I loved about Mendoza, you talked about his pocket presence, Connor. It's elite. You talk about his ability to play the position of quarterback and really be able to understand what's happening pre-snap, adjust post-snap to get through his progressions, to truly play quarterback. There's nobody in the draft right now who does it better. Nussmeier's good. And there's nobody I think that's better, at progressing, at really reading, understanding, and progressing through his reads better than Mendoza. But the difference in Mendoza from Cal to Mendoza from now in Indiana is he's limited all the hero ball, right?
Yeah.
He's really doing a better job of not putting the ball in harm's way. The throws that are turnover worthy have dropped significantly. Now, some of that you can, credit to Kurt Cignetti and the Indiana offense. Some of it, I think, is him maturing a little bit as a player, right? He's not a dual threat quarterback in the least, but at 6'5", 226 pounds, he's pretty mobile. You know what I mean? He's sneaky athletic. He's got a lot of functional athleticism. He's sneaky athletic. Reminds me in that sense a lot like a Daniel Jones, a lot like a Joe Burrow. He's definitely not as fast as Daniel Jones, but in the sense of, if they need to do something with their legs, they will, but you're not going to scheme an offense around them, working their legs. Like, you want him to be back there, and using his head, because he's so smart. He's such a smart quarterback, and just he's set for a pro style. I think a West Coast, horizontal flowing offense would suit him best. He's got a strong arm. His deep ball, can be hit or miss at times, but you talk about zip, you talk about arm strength, you talk about arm talent, and able to layer it over defense and so on and so forth. Mendoza is so far, to me, a chef's kiss in it. But that's just one guy. I think that there's going to be a lot of hype for Lenore Sellers. I think there's going to be a lot of hype coming up now for Dante Moore as well, who played an excellent game against
Penn
State, and has completely shown to be a different guy than he was when he was at UCLA, excuse me. So you have those 3, John Mateer dealing with the injury, but he's going to be in the buzz, in the round 1 buzz, just because his off-platform stuff and his athleticism is absolutely through the roof. If you can get over a guy who's 6 feet tall, 6'1" at best, John Mateer, he's got a really, really live, really talented arm, and he's not afraid to sling it, man. But, he can hurt you with his legs as well. And then Garrett Nussmeier is the same way. I think Garrett Nussmeier hasn't really, as everyone keeps taking steps up in early in this 2025 CFB season, Garrett Nussmeier is kind of leveled out, if not
Yeah,
maybe regressed a little since that first matchup that he had against Clemson, where I thought he played really, really well. He's kind of just leveled out. So you got those five, right? Lenora Sellers, John Mateer, Dante Moore, Nussmeier, Mendoza, and then there's the wild card in Drew Allar, who and
mhm.
I clump him up in that top six, who I think are first round eligible right now, because listen, there's a lot not to like. There's a lot not to be excited about. The film that Drew Allar's put on over the past 2+ years. But teams are going to draft him based on his traits, his size, and his arm strength alone, thinking we can do something with him. We can fix him. It happens all the time, right? So, although do I think Drew Allar is going to be the first overall selection in the draft? No, I don't. Could I see a team trading up for him in the back half of round one like the Giants did for Jackson Dart last year? I absolutely do. You know what I mean? You
Interesting.
put him in a position where he can sit
Yeah.
and learn for a little bit. Again, still a young guy, and in 2 years, 3 years, you might have your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, it's intriguing. I mean, when you talk about Lenora Sellers, I really like him. Watching, I finished, I think, 8 games of Sellers, his Final Four from last year and the first of this year. And the things that just jump off the chart to me right away is the crazy high ceiling that you see in him, the smooth throwing motion, the passing ability. I hate doing comps, Dom, and especially to like MVP players, but like the second I saw him release that football, my first thought went to Cam Newton. Just like his mobility to get out of the pocket, that smooth release. And look, he has a lot to work on, like most of the quarterbacks in this
Yeah.
year's class. You see the ceiling with a guy like Sellers, you see the ceiling with players like Nussmeier, like Aller, but again, the Nico Iamaleava, another guy from UCLA, but there's no doubt that they have to put in a lot of work to reach that ceiling. We see the ceiling, but there's a lot they're gonna have to do to reach that. And when you talk about kind of the under the radar guys, the guy I tabbed was Jaden Mayava of USC, someone who has improved dramatically from
Mm-hmm.
the start of last year. He replaced Miller Moss at USC. So last year during the 2024 season, I'm going to try to pull this up here quickly. Then we'll let you go, Dom, because I know you got to
Sure.
run. Let me try to pull this up. So here's a not that. This is a look at Jaden Mayava's stats at the end from the 2024 season to now. So last year, he finished among FCS quarterbacks, 97th in completion percentage, 98th in adjusted completion percentage. His 7.1 yards per attempt were the worst in the FCS. His 1,200 passing yards ranked 128th, and his 11 touchdowns were 108th. Now this season, you look at that, he's taken a dramatic jump, 15th, excuse me, in completion, 70%. First in yards per attempt, 11.3. Second in yards, 1,587, and then 11 touchdowns, sixth among FCS signal callers. So, the numbers are great. And when I turned on the film and I looked at him, I saw a guy who keeps an offense on schedule, does not make a lot of costly mistakes. At the end of last year, he was a turnover machine. I think his turnover worthy play rate was like 4.5% or something crazy like that. It's down to like 1%. I think he's only thrown a pick or two now this season. He's intriguing because he thrives off the play action. He has experience in different schemes with Lincoln Riley and his air raid style, and then at UNLV with just the quick spread, standard college scheming
Mm-hmm.
guys wide open. He's someone that's interesting because he fits the Tanner Engstrand offensive pillars, in my opinion, of just aggressiveness, explosiveness, and he opens up the run game with the play action ability. We saw designed runs over at USC. So look, obviously the draft talk is going to get interesting as we begin to creep closer there. But those are, I think, just the general names I think fans should be keeping an eye on. But it's so tough still because there's still so much football to be played. There's still so many great matchups in the college
Yeah.
season to look out for. I'll wrap with this. I know we were messaging the other day, and you weren't as high on Lenora Sellers as I was in
Yeah.
this quarterback class. I have as my QB1 right now. Obviously, that can certainly change. We're in week 5 of the college season, entering week 6. Why aren't you as high on Lenora Sellers as just the average football fan?
Listen, two things I think stand out that stood out last year to me that I still haven't seen improved, and that's his ability to play or throw in anticipation.
Yep.
right? He has a tendency to lock on and stare receivers down. Now, his arm talent and athletic ability might be able to win him those reps at the college level, even in the SEC. But guys that do that in the NFL don't play quarterback for all that long. So there's that I think from last year to this year I haven't really seen a lot of improvement in. And um, for as big and athletic as he is, he just works and takes way too many sacks. Like the pocket presence
Yeah.
needs to be completely
Tries to
kind
be
of
Superman at
addressed.
times as
Yes,
well. Force the
completely
big play.
addressed and overhauled. And yeah, like he's a dual threat in the sense that he's going to like he can really affect the game. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but probably like 700-800 yards rushing last year with a dozen touchdowns. Probably needs to, like you talked about, really kind of tone it down. Kind of not have so many turnover worthy plays. The incompletion rate needs to improve. I mean, I think he was, probably close to, 54-55% completion rate. You'd like to see that
Yeah.
around 65 or so to be a lot more comfortable. There's a lot of good Lenore sellers, dude. I'm not saying he's not talented. For me, the things I'm questioning is the stuff that I saw last year in limited games so far. I haven't seen improvement on, right? I
Yeah.
haven't seen improvement in the stuff. And that's the one thing I'm looking at this point of the year from film last year to film this year is what do my notes say are issues last year? Have you seen improvement in this year? I've seen improvement in Nussmeier. I've seen improvement in Mendoza. I've seen a lot of improvement in Carson Beck.
Oh yeah.
I seen a lot of improvement in Taylor Green, the Arkansas quarterback who
Mm.
was at Boise State. So you're seeing some of this. Sawyer Robertson from Baylor's another guy who I think is really, really good and really, really improved. Then there's other guys. Cade Klubnik, who was he was my darling last year. Like he
Yeah.
came
He's
into
struggled.
the summer as my QB1 by a landslide. Not only did he not get better, I think he regressed. So it happens. Lenore Sellers, when it's all said and done, will probably end up in that QB2, QB3
Yeah.
range for me. I'm not completely done with his review, but he'll probably gonna have a first round grade for me. He'll be right on the cusp of that late first, early second when it's all said and done. I'm guessing there's still a lot of film of his that has yet to be played and yet to be reviewed to really be suffice to say. But based on what I have from last year and this year, like he's going to have a first round grade, so he's going to be in the mix in that QB 1, 2, 3. Right now, I'd probably say he's going to fall in about 3, which is fine. I
Yeah.
just happen to like Nussmeier and Mendoza better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that caught my eye, another negative, was just like the footwork when throwing. He shuffles his feet a lot. I think, the athleticism that'll ultimately get straightened out. I think fans are going to be attracted to him, though, again, because of the high ceiling. If you hit on him, you have a true dual threat like a Lamar, like a Cam
Listen, you have his ceiling's Dante Culpepper, who is a
Yeah.
I know before your time, but
Yep.
he was he was the true first, like really big dual threat core. He was Josh Allen before there was even a snippet
sure,
of Josh
yeah.
Allen, but his floor is Malik Willis.
Yeah, Malik and Anthony Richardson, I'd say a little worse than Fields, like in that range of a Richardson, a
Yeah.
Willis for sure. I mean, the thing with Maiyava, and then I know we'll let you go, Dom. The
Yeah.
thing with Maiyava that caught my eye, the most is just again the drastic improvement. Watching the games in 2023 of him at UNLV, watching the final 4 games last year, and then the first 4 this year. Again, I don't like comps. The comps that I drew, fans aren't going to like this because, when you're talking draft, you want to hear the big, attractive comps. You want to hear MVPs, things like that. Reminded me of like a Ryan Tannehill. Reminded me of like a Jacoby Brissett when you talk about them in their prime, the way he was able to, keep the offense on schedule and, get out of the pocket if need be. But obviously, Lincoln Riley's not drawing up runs, designed runs for
Yeah.
Jordan Maiyava.
Yeah, and I got to be honest with you, I haven't watched Maiyava at all this year, so he's clearly going to be a guy that I get into, but I've been really, really harping on trying to get last year's film and this year's film finish on the top 6 guys before I delve into the rest of the class. And I got a request from, I do a little writing for, do a little bit of scatter report writing for publications that post their stuff out in April and so on and so forth. So somebody asked me to write on the Rutgers kid. And he's been an interesting study, man. I'm gonna hack his last name. It's Calicamatis.
Interesting. I haven't heard of this.
From Rutgers. When you have some free time, delve into some of his film if you get it, man.
Is he like a draftable guy?
Yeah, he's going to get drafted for sure.
Okay.
He's a day 3 guy, I'm guessing. He's going to be a little bit of an older prospect. But he's got a decent frame at 6'3". Really just came out of nowhere this year. Was real just a really just shot in the dark and really stepped up and playing really, really good football this year. So somebody asked me for a publication to give them a review. So after I'm done with my top 6, he's the next guy I'm going to do a full season on. So
there we go. All right, Dom. Nevertheless, thank you for sparing some time. Thank you for coming on with us. As always, right here on the show. Let everyone know where they could find you, of course, if they don't already follow you. And thank you for the time, as always, brother.
My Twitter handle should be attached down here somewhere. Very active on Twitter, DC at DC_NY Jets. You can find me and all of my draft breakdowns and scouting report write-ups on Jet X Factor from here on out. You can also catch me on Monday with the Talking Jets Network, where Ryan and I have a show from 8 to 9, usually breaking down and woe is me stuff after our Sunday games. So that's at 8 p.m. Talking Jets Network.
Dom, thank you for the time, as always, my friend, and chat soon.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Peace out, my friend. The great Dom C, baby. Jets X Factor, my colleague over at Jets X Factor, checking in with us right here on the show. Super fun. Shopping it up with Dom whenever we get an opportunity to do so. Again, follow Dom on Twitter and the incredible work that he does. Make sure to follow, like, subscribe right here on the channel. I'm Connor Long, right here with you guys on NY Fly Jets. 273 guys in the building. Be sure to smash the like, hit subscribe, continue to pump our content out to football fans, to Jet fans, everyone else. And also don't forget about the paid way to support us. You see on the ticker down below. Membership raffle. Every $2 super chat or gifted membership will give you a raffle entry. Also, don't forget this show is also available in podcast form. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Search up NY Flight Jet Talk, and bingo, you will find our show in audio form. Shout out to everyone who supports us in the audio way. We're trying to grow there as well. So even if you can, just please, even if you're not going to listen over there, just drop over, please, please, please. On Spotify, drop over on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review, and boom, that's another way to support us, another free way to support us, and we'll pump our content out to other Jet fans on that platform as well. So if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to go over there, leave a 5-star review, support us over there. And then if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, hop over on YouTube, shoot us a like, shoot us a sub, also find us on Twitter as well. So shout out to everyone joining us right here on the show. We'll stay on here a little longer, and joining me right now, my co-host every single Saturday night, one of my co-hosts on the Next Gen Jet Show, the great Josh Wolliver, joining us right here on the show. Josh, it's a fun game coming up on Sunday. I don't know if it's going to be fun for the Jets, but I don't care. Every time I get to watch Jet football, it's fun for better or worse.
Hey, man, Connor, appreciate you having me on. Great to hear your conversation earlier in the show, but again, like I've said before, there's only 18 games every season, or 17 rather. So to take even one of them for granted is a mistake, and it's Jets football. And I am fully expecting this team to be 0-5.
Oh, 0-5.
Don't talk.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I have them losing as well. I mean, there's no way I could pick them to win, Josh. There isn't.
You can't.
I can't point to any game on the schedule and just say win.
Yeah.
That's like they haven't done one thing that convinces me and gives me clear-cut conviction. I think the Jets are wholeheartedly going to win this football game. That's how bad they've been. That's how bad they've been.
Has
It's
your
brutal.
where's your 8-win adjusted line at
It's
now?
not getting adjusted. I mean, I don't really care. Again, this is exactly why I hate schedule predictions. They're never right, no matter what. I think there's I had him starting 2-6, and I had him finishing 8-9. Like, there's a world where it could happen. Just get the season back on track.
That's a distant world away, Connor. I want to know how to get to that world.
I mean, are they going to be 0-8 at the bye? I don't want to get that far.
No, they'll beat. I mean, I look. Here's a game. There's a game out there. It's Jake Browning and the Bengals O line, but then again, it really doesn't matter the O line. Anybody can hold up against the Jets.
Oh
defense.
yeah, this pass rush. I mean, they could literally be going
Gosh.
against 2 offensive linemen. They would have
Yep.
no more than 2 sacks in a game. So yeah, this pass rush is just hard to watch, and I've literally lost all faith in them forcing a turnover. I'm just
Yeah, exactly. Just throw it
I
out the
haven't even
window.
gone down that rabbit hole. I'm just yeah, my dad, we watch the games together. He's always like, "Come on, get a turnover, get a turnover, get a turnover." I'm like, I don't even root for it anymore because it's not even
Yeah.
happening.
And it's the Braylon Allen fumble at the 3-yard line that kickstarts this whole thing. Even later, it was like the 1.5-yard line. But of course, it's leave it up to the Jets to embarrass themselves on primetime.
What I want to see a lot of Malachi Moore. I want to
Yes.
see a lot of the rookies. I want to see a lot of Mason Taylor. I want to see Memphis.
You saw a
continue
lot of
to
him against
shine.
Miami.
Saw a lot of them against Miami. I want to see a lot of Arian Smith. Give me Arian Smith. Like, there's no reason. I just wrote it up for Jet X Factor the other day. There's no reason Tony Adams should be starting. Like, we know what he is. He's terrible.
Yeah.
He's a missed tackle machine. He can't do anything for you. There's no, he's just like, why is he on the field? Can we find that out? Why is he on the field? Why is Josh Reynolds getting reps over Arian Smith?
Oh my gosh.
You're not using any tight ends. You're using Taylor. I mean, they're not using any tight ends behind Taylor. It's
Exactly. That's what we were talking about on the
puzzling.
Saturday show. It's like, sure, Jelani Woods is a great idea, but tight end 2 doesn't exist on this team. That's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about running all this 13 personnel being such a
Yeah,
run
it's-
heavy, run first team. Like,
Gosh.
I don't have the exact numbers, but they haven't given Stone Smart hasn't been targeted once this season.
But I mean, run first, and if that first drive of the Miami game doesn't prove it, then I don't know what will. But of course, they can't execute. Like, oh my god, never-ending pain around here.
I literally don't think I've seen 1-3 tight end look this entire season.
Yeah, 13 personnel is extinct to this team, and
Yeah,
and leave it up to what would have been Ben Johnson's predecessor and or successor in Detroit to come up with 0 creative looks. But
ugh, terrible. It's hard to watch. I mean, if they don't
It-
get their win, like Glenn will be the first head coach in Jets history to start 0-5.
Adam Gase.
First year, I mean. No, Gase got his first win against Dallas in Week 5.
Oh my gosh. What?
He's right-
2019?
Yeah, 2019. 2019. And they somehow finished 7-9 that year. Isn't that incredible?
Wow, they did.
Adam
2022,
Gase went
2022 feels like so long ago. My
Adam
God.
Gase went 7-9. Isn't that crazy to think?
Is it crazy to say that Aaron Glenn might go down as I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there.
Look, I don't want to blame too
we're
much on
4
Glenn,
games
but if Jim Harbaugh shakes free and the Jets are picking in the top 3,
Please.
why can't Glenn be the Jets version of what the Patriots did with Gerard Mayo last year?
Please.
One and done, beloved figure in the organization, didn't perform well, team didn't live up to the expectations,
Is there
and you have a great head coach who shakes free. Obviously, Mike Vrabel being that for the New England Patriots, and you pick him up.
How about is there a scenario where you just demote the guy back to DC? Steve Wilkes has obviously been terrible. I guess that's not a great look for your franchise if he
No,
runs this
Glenn's not
season
going to want
into
to
the
come back as
ground.
defensive coordinator.
He's made his mark, I guess, already.
Yeah,
I
don't
know. Yeah,
look. I don't like to put too much blame on the head coach, but it's they're not ready to play. They're getting
Mhm.
outcoached every game. They're having over 100 yards of penalties every game.
Yeah. Yes.
Look, again, I hate to put everything on the coach, but the proof is in the pudding.
Between the undisciplined turnovers, I mean, the guys don't even get set before the play. Like the guys don't know how to get set They got 2 illegal shifts called on them in one half. I mean, that's straight coaching right there. And
Terrible.
then you're putting guys back to return who fair catch at the 6-inch line and then fumble to start the second half right when you thought you had the momentum. So, I mean, that's as
You can't make it
bad as
up.
coaching can get in 4 weeks. Can't
You
make
really,
it up.
really can't make it up. It's terrible. What is your prediction for the game? We'll get into it on the Saturday show, of course, tomorrow. What's your prediction?
I don't know. I feel like I've said this I said this against Tampa Bay. You keep it within single digits and it's a meaningful game. Like not Tampa Bay single digits. Not you need a Will McDonald block field goal
Yeah,
at 2
like
in
a
the morning.
legit, well-played football
Yes,
game.
well played game. I don't need Justin Fields to go out here and turn around the Jet season, but gosh, competent football would be nice.
Stay
And
competitive, yeah.
stay competitive, keep it within a touchdown or 10 points the entire game, and I that's a win in my book. Look, that's as good as it's going to get against a Dak Prescott led team and the Cowboys.
Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long. He's Josh Williver right here with us. Another edition of NY Flight Jet Talk. Stay tuned tomorrow, folks. We obviously got the Saturday evening show. I might get to show up in the morning. We'll see what we could do, though. So it might be a 2-show Saturday, but probably just the evening show if I had to put money on it. And then obviously, of course, our pre- and post-game coverage on Sunday for the Jets versus Cowboys clash. Josh, great hopping on with you for about 10, 15 minutes. You got any final thoughts here before we wrap up the show, actually?
No, appreciate you having me on. Quick little chat and see you tomorrow. Let's go Jets, even though this is become an insufferable football team to watch as usual.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Josh Williver. For Josh, I'm Connor saying have a great rest of your night, everyone. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets.
Jets.
Peace out, folks.